Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Let's Find Out. Today's host is John McNeil, chairperson of the Orange County chapter of California Rare Fruit Growers. Today we'll be visiting the home of Joe and Alta Underwood in the city of Santa Ana, and John will be taking us through air layering.
G'day folks, it's John McNeil. How the hell are you? We're at the home of Joe and Alta Underwood, and we're here preserving some of these magnificent trees that were around the place. There's macadamians, there's phyllia, and there's all sorts of things. And we're going to air layer a sapote, a white sapote that Joe was very, very famous for. So let's find out about air layering. One of the tricks with air layering is to be prepared, like Boy Scouts. You know, you have a bag full of moss, sphagnum moss or peat moss that's wet, and we're going to use this to surround a branch that we think is suitable. This is the white sapote tree that we're going to be working with, and we've got to select a branch that is good enough for what we are looking for as far as putting an air layer on. And it's got to be a reasonable caliber, probably anything from 1/2 inch diameter, and as long as it has some branching or something on the top, then we should be good to go.
Hey John, real quick, can you tell us about what is a white sapote?
A very beautiful tasting fruit. Sapote, I believe, means just sweet tasting fruit. And there's a lot of confusion about sapotes. You've got mame sapote, which is a totally different variety to the white sapote. And that's about all I know on them.
Any idea on taste, color, shape, size?
This one here should be green when it's growing. You can see there's some small fruit on here at the moment, so it's finished flowering and it's in the fruiting stage. Some bigger ones over here.
About how big are they when you pick them and eat them?
They're probably about tennis ball size, or anywhere from a baseball to a tennis ball size, and they'll go from green to a lemon yellow color. The flesh inside, for those that I've had, is a creamy white custardy texture, and typically it has 1 or 2 fairly large seeds. But the ones I've had have come up from Mexico. I get them at the farmer's market, and they're outstanding. As I said earlier, one of the main things is to be prepared to do your air layering. And in order to do that, you need to have a string, which is going to be used to bind the plastic bag full of peat moss, which you can see here. I've got those prepared because I plan to do a lot of air layering here at this site. And so you prepare beforehand, and then put a loop on the end of your string, because you're going to be doing this one-handed up a ladder. And then you've got to have, I use a grafting knife. You can use any sort of knife, but the important thing, of course, is to make sure that we have antiseptic so that we sterilize what we're going to be working with beforehand. So we've sterilized the knife, and what we're going to do now is we're going to climb up the ladder, take a branch that we've selected, and we're going to ring bark it. Basically, we're going to cut around the bark in two areas, and then we're going to take out that stretch of bark between the two cuts that we've made. And hopefully Kevin will be able to see that as we move up. Okay. And we start ourselves getting ready. And as I said, the important thing is to be prepared. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this branch first, and then we might look around and see what else we can get while we're in this particular part of the tree. So we've made a loop in the string, and we put that around the branch. Okay, and you'll see the obvious reasons for doing this later on. Okay, we're going to make a cut around this part of the branch here and here. So we just cut around right through the cambium layer, and it's important that we cut into the cambium layer, because if you don't take those cells off either side of the bark and the cambium layer, then the fluid is going to travel up and down as if it's a wounded tree, rather than have difficulty and then want to force roots so that it can stay alive. It's regarding the time of year to do this, I'm not sure what is the best time. People say that when the tree is finished fruiting, it's good to go ahead and do the grafting or marcotting, not grafting, the air layering or marcotting as it's sometimes called. But, I think it's just hit and miss. You can be successful at different times. But the important thing is that you have wet peat moss, and the wet peat moss provides the moisture, and we've got rooting compound too that we put on here just to help formation of the roots. Of course, being in this position is not easy to see. And usually, if it is the right time, then the bark slips relatively easily. And it's not so difficult to actually strip the bark off. It should just peel off. And of course, one slip and you've done yourself an injury. The other thing that's important too is you've got to scratch those top cambium layer cells off. And I don't know how long it's going to take for these to start developing their roots. I know we did some lychee some time back, and we've only just potted the lychee, and it was 2.5 years ago. So, I don't know. Every variety might be different conditions, circumstances. But anyway, we'll see. So we're in good shape. And as I said, just make sure the cambium layer is really scratched back and it's all clear. Now, the roots are going to come from the branch side, not the trunk side of the cut, the lesion that you have made. Okay, what we do now is get my rooting compound, and now it's just pretty standard stuff.
Where do you buy that at, John?
Oh, I think you can get it at most nurserymen's supplies. The nurseries, most nurseries. Gary's would be a good place to go.
What's the name of his place?
Here's Laguna Hills Nursery in Tustin and corner of North Tustin and Santa Ana. North Tustin and 17th Street, Santa Ana. Okay, so I've done that, put the rooting compound on, and what I'm going to do now is take this plastic bag full of damp peat moss. It's not over, well, it's wet, okay, because you'll see the liquid get squeezed out as I put this over the lesion. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a cut in the bag, because that's where the branch is going to sit, surrounded by damp peat moss. Okay, so what we've done is we've created a pocket, just like that. And we're going to put that pocket around the lesion. Okay, make sure that it's fully covered. And then we take the string that we had up here and we wrap that around to bind it really tight. It's kind of like the same thing you would do with grafting. You bind the two sides of your cleft graft together to really make sure that it's going to do what it's supposed to do as far as binding together. And you can see the liquid is dripping out, the water is dripping out of the bag as I wrap this around. And of course, you'll always have cut the string shorter than what you think you need. So I'm going to tie this off, and then I'm going to get another piece of string and tie it on the end, because I really want this to be secure and tight. Now, what you should do is you should check this probably once a week, just to make sure that the peat moss is not dried out. You can't let the peat moss dry out. That's one of the important factors. Okay, let me get down. This is a fisherman's knot. Okay, very simple knot. If you break a fishing line or anything like that, those guys know how to do this. It's basically two thumb knots. And when you pull them together, they lock each other, and you've got a super tight bond or tie together. So what I want to do is I just want to go around here again, just to make sure that it's not going to move, and it is totally held in place. You can see the water coming out. Well, that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, I'll just tie this off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some aluminum or aluminium foil around this to keep the sun off it, keep the heat off it, and try and keep some of the moisture in. Okay, so that's pretty good. we're going to wrap that around the plastic bag to keep that moisture in, and as I said, to keep the sunlight off it. Okay, so we crimp the ends like so. Okay, so that's pretty secure. I'm going to put a date on here, which is 03/28/2021. Okay, so that's what we do now, and as I said, we try to keep it moist, and then look at it in 6 months' time and see how it is. Okay, like us, share and subscribe on Facebook, and we'd appreciate your patronage. Take care and all the best.